Alright, everyone, please pray for me on this anniversary of tragedy. Responding again to TheJudaizer2000. The leading questions are very Christ-like, aren't they? You worship Paul, don't you? Well, if you were to bother to ever watch my videos, you'd know how I feel about Paul. I'm not too keen on him, and I think the church goes a little buck wild. Not the Orthodox Church, but I think the Western churches rely only on Paul. Do you mean authentic Paul, pastoral, or Ephesian Colossians? Because those are three different writers. You worship Paul, don't you? No. In fact, I catch a lot of flack for going against Paul. I think he was a manic depressant. His words are of God, huh? His words are the words of God, huh? No, the Word of God is Christ. And it's funny how you just write God. See, I don't believe in God. I don't believe in any gods. I believe in Iyahon. Iya Asher Iya. He who is the existing one. I am that I am. I am who I am. I will be who I will be. The El of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Yahushua, Yahusha, Hashu. All these variations on Joshua. We don't have a Hebrew script of any early work. It's only in Greek. It's Jesus. In fact, the Jews were very keen on the Septuagint for about 400 years, and they believed it to be a divinely inspired translation. Not to mention, they would have been speaking a form of Aramaic, and the dialect would be Syriac. So trying to come up with this Yeshua, or Yahashu, or Yeshu, or any of this stuff falls, because look at how many different variations there are of Matthew. Matatao, Matthias. I mean, even Joseph, look at how many variations there are on that. So just with Matthew and Joseph, more common names than Jesus or Jesus or Joshua. And Joshua has a lot of variants too. So again, is quoted to have said, "Not one word will pass away from the law until all was fulfilled." Actually, the oldest manuscripts we have it reversed. This is kind of funny. Has everything in prophecy been fulfilled? Google the Judaizer. I did, and it's quite shocking that you didn't know who Cerinthus was before I brought him up. Let me give you some of my background, because I don't want this to be a bickering fight at all. I've read every work of the Jews, the pagan Greeks, pagan Romans, and the various different Christian communities, starting in the 1st century, going all the way to the 5th century. Except the Clementine recognitions. That's it. That's the only one. And the book of Matthew that we have now, the Gospel of Matthew, is not the Gospel of Matthew that the Judaizers used. Pretty sure we know what it looks like. My response to you was, I really don't like Paul, and I certainly don't like Matthew. Luke, John, and James are good. The Apocalypse of John is obviously anti-Paul, but we don't read the Apocalypse of John in church. Every Eastern church has their own canon, their own collection. I said, Mark is a good account, but really does not have many teachings in it. Which books of the New Testament codex do you think are quote-unquote good? That is exactly what your weird phonetic name for Jesus hated the most. What did he hate the most? That is exactly what Yahashu hated the most. What? Luke, John, and James? I don't think he was alive when those were written. Or at least this is after his crucifixion. There's asking questions. Christ hated asking questions, huh? So Judaizers only use the Torah to decide what is right and what is wrong. It's the Torah. Do you mean the Pentateuch? Because actual Jews, when they say the Torah, they can mean one verse, they could mean all 5 books of Moses, they could mean the entire Tanakh. They could mean the Tanakh, the Midrash, Mishnah, and Talmud, actually. So, guessing you might not be a Jew. You're probably thinking that is what the Jews do in general. No, I've made many videos about this. Again, it's like your mind reader. Well, you would be wrong because... No, I wouldn't. Because, first of all, I've made multiple videos saying that ever since the temple collapse, the Jews needed to use the Talmud, teachings of men, which Christ spoke against, viciously, continually spoke against it. And that's why I believe all of what Christ said in the gospel still stands against the spiritual descendants of the Pharisees today, which is the rabbinical schools, which spawned modern Judaism. Even though I can look across the battlefield of ideas and actually get along with Jews, I have many Orthodox Jewish friends, and they're closer in religion, belief, and practice to me, the Syriac Chalcedonian, than most of you Western Christians are. You guys who are just break off of the Roman Catholic Church, or just subtracting things from Roman Catholicism. Two, because just like the Christians and made laws from doctrines, Christian wasn't a term that the followers of the way applied to themselves. They were first called that at Antioch. That is why Yahushu says, why do you void the law or your traditions and your rules and doctrines made up by men? No matter how suggestive a passage may sound, you never amend the Torah. That is one of the laws in the Torah. Okay, so you don't recognize King David, obviously, right? Because there should be no temple. It should be a tabernacle. God actually gives clear instructions on how to build the ark and how to build the tabernacle. So you do animal slaughter, correct? That's a true question. Do you do animal slaughter? Do you not? And have you constructed a movable tent? And do you practice all the movable feast days? You obviously wouldn't have Purim, because not even the people of Qumran had Esther. Esther does not even have the Tetragrammaton in it. Do you know that there are 2 creation stories in Genesis, or should I use the Hebrew names? Um, and I'll just translate it for you. Genesis is in the beginning. Exodus is these are the names. Numbers is, or Leviticus is, and he called out. Numbers is in the wilderness, and Deuteronomy is these are the words. So those would be the correct names of the books, unless you want to go Bereshith, and I'll go through using the Hebrew words, which actually the first words of the Tanakh, of the book of Genesis, is from the head, which we translate in the beginning. So what exactly did Yahushu hate? This is exactly what Yahushu hated most. What did he hate most? The fact that I contend with Paul? Because I've heard that from many Lutherans and evangelicals. Or is it because you're not antinomianists? Antinomian. Again, it's quite shocking that you don't know who Cerinthus is. He said, none of them are good. Matthew is the only one that is the most authentic. Even though it's based off of Mark. Is the most authentic, but it has been compromised. Do you believe in the virgin birth then? I use Matthew the best I can to refute Christians. Luke is hearsay, nothing eyewitness about it. I have an article called Today You Will Be With Me in Heaven. Sorry, but no. Again, the resurrection time, and yeah. So if somebody dies, the next thing they're going to know is the resurrection. Right? Eons get past, and then the resurrection happens. So that seems strange to me that you just discount that one straight away. I'll make a part 2 for the Judaizer. What do you think of the Didache and Ignatius of Antioch, or the Epistle of Barnabas? Actually, Clement of Rome, he was considered to be a Judaizer by many. And the Clementine recognitions, many say that Simon Magus in there is the cipher for Paul. That Rome was originally an anti-Pauline church. What do you think about that? Because obviously, you're so smart, you like me have read all those. Take it easy, peace to you, and I'll go to part 2.